Hi there, Carson V. Heady, author of Birth of a Salesman and the upcoming While the Salesman is Away and Other Stories. Today's topic, one of my favorites, something I'm most passionate about, and that's coaching. One of the mistakes that a lot of managers and pretending leaders make is that they forget that it's very important and it's to pull your people out of the field sometimes. You've got to invest in order to get dividends paid to you. You've got to invest time in your team. Now, I've worked in call centers, I've done business to business, I've had people that have gone out in the field, people that have been inside. The key thing is that you've got to pull these people out of the field sometime. Your primary job as a leader is figuring out the ways where you can positively impact every single futuristic transaction that your employees make. Now, what I mean by that is that a lot of people have reluctance. If you're in a call center, let's say you're running a call center where somebody's making 100, 200 phone calls per day. Well, you don't want to pull somebody off the phones, right? Because then they're missing out on money. I've heard so many people say that. We're in an inbound call center. We can't afford to pull you off the phones. Well, people get burnt out if they're literally sitting on the phone all day, every day. You've got to keep your hand at the pulse of your team. You've got to make sure that you understand what they need to be successful. At the end of the day, though, your job too, it's what I like to call the sales food chain. You have the customer. You have the sales representative or the account executive. You've got the sales manager. You've got your district manager, and so on up the chain, okay? That's your sales food chain. Every relationship, though, is the same. From rep to customer, you've got to figure out what is it that they need? Where are their gaps in what they're doing right now? How can I show them how to do it better? Management to rep is the exact same, and so on up the chain. I've got to figure out what is it that my employees need. And I'm going to do that by asking them, wading through any possible excuses, figuring out what real problems exist, eliminating obstacles that exist, and also selling them on why they should do it my way and not theirs. Now, that last one can be a little bit tricky sometimes. How many times have we sat down as managers with our employees and courted a plan of action, coursed out a plan of action, and they followed it for maybe a day or so and then went back to old comfortable ways of failing? It happens all the time. And see, that's the issue. Sometimes people will go out, they'll try something new, and they work once, it may not work. And then they go back to old, comfortable ways of failing. See, failing is comfortable. It's easy to just, lay on your couch all day rather than going out and looking for a job. It's easy to just sit at your desk and just type on the computer and do the bare minimum. How many times, one time I was actually, my supervisor was called away to a special project. And all of my peers, all of us were asked, to volunteer to do additional tasks in the department. Every one of my peers said, I'm not going to volunteer to do anything else. I do enough as it is. Well, I stepped in and I volunteered to do everything. I did it, and guess what? Not long after I was promoted, whenever my supervisor was promoted to do something else. The key thing is you got to figure out what it is that you want. What it is that you want to accomplish. Now, the key thing is that if somebody's not satisfied with their current result, which most people shouldn't be, then why are they clinging to their old ways of doing business so tightly? If you've got a process and it's getting you results that don't work, that are no good, then why are you so afraid to change and do something new? And see, that's where sales management comes into play. You're selling your employees on doing things your way. And give them carte blanche to do it their way to start. Believe me, if my employees, I will greenlight my employees and I will give them carte blanche, especially management employees, people that have earned the call up to management. I give those guys carte blanche, do it your way. But you better believe if you're not cutting it, if you're not hitting your expectations, my set of eyes is going to be on your project. And we're going to look at it together and we're going to figure out how to make it work. And I'm going to expect you, since your way hasn't been working, to try mine. It's very non-intrusive, ladies and gentlemen. That's the best way about management. That's the best thing about coaching, is doing it together. It's an improvement plan. We've agreed on the goal. We've agreed on the steps. We've agreed on how we're going to follow up, when we're going to follow up, and we do it together. And your job as a manager is to stay organized enough to stay on top of that. Follow-up is key. You can have a training session today that rocked the house and got you a standing ovation, but if you don't follow up to see that what you implemented was executed properly, if you don't go out to see the results, what's growing, what's not working, you failed. You dropped the ball completely. Coaching is so important, and it's so important to pull these guys out of the field or off the phones because you're making a quality investment. If it's a quality investment that's going to positively impact every futuristic transaction they make, you make more money. I'd happily pull a rep off the phone for 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours for good quality training if they can go from bringing in $100 a day to $500 a day. Doesn't that make perfect financial sense? Look at the big picture. It's hard sometimes, I know, because we always look at the immediate. We look up at the sales board, and that's the immediate. We see that we've got no money on the board for the day, so we get desperate and we start doing foolish things. Follow the process. Management comes down to people, having the right people in place and treating them the right way, and process. The process is so vital, and that's where coaching comes into play. Keep coaching the process. No coach wins every single game. No one, period. But the thing is that you win by having the right players in place. Look at the Chicago Bulls from the 1990s. Best team in the land, and they followed the right process. They didn't win every game, but they won 72. I'd say that's pretty successful. So the key thing is people, process, coaching, follow that process, implement, execute, make sure everybody's on the same page, and you will win. All the best to you and your success. Thank you.